One of the things that I learned my very first sales job was I started off with the mindset, and before I met my mentor, I started my mindset in sales with the idea that if I was just somebody else, I could be a better salesperson. You know, because I was young and I wasn't as believable. So if I could be that old guy and they would come up to me, then they would believe me more. And so that's why my sales ratio was not as good as the old guy. Or, you know, if I was more attractive, you know, if I look like this couple right here, I could sell the world. There is not a person in the world who would not listen to me if I look like that. And so I'm thinking, you know, if I could just be them, I'd change the planet. And so I always had this story that if I could just be, and then my mentor, he said, you know, if I had your youthfulness, I'd be a better salesperson. And he turned it around on me. He probably didn't believe the story, but he made me believe that he did. And he says, you know, if I could just be young, I could actually play the dumb young kid. I could play the dumb 21-year-old who would diffuse the situation by saying, well, I really don't know, and I really need your help, and would you help me understand? I would ask the dumb 21-year-old questions to the person, diffuse the sales relationship, and I would go in as the young dumb guy, and I would win the sale. I was like, I could do that. And so that's what I did. As smart as I was, I turned off the brain thing because I wasn't the old smart guy. I was going to be the young dumb guy, and I started to sell from that relationship and use the relationship, use whatever avenue I could get in to diffuse the pressure, the sales push, you know, that thing that we all run into, figure out how I can get in. And everybody can do it. I don't care what you think your negative is. You can get in. You can actually use it as a positive. There's this lady right now who's being paid tremendous amount of money to travel around the world. She's got a 1.2 million views on her last YouTube video, and she is noted as the ugliest woman in the world. That's what it was. A couple years ago, they had this thing, this supposed to be funny web page, and everybody was going to post the ugliest pictures that they knew. And so they went to Walmart, and they found some people, and they started posting pictures, and everybody voted on who was the ugliest woman in the world. And this lady won. And it was supposed to be a negative, and she started to get publicity all over. I mean, CNN interviewed her, and Good Morning America interviewed her, and they found out what disease she had and why she looked the way she did. And now she's a public speaker. She did a TED Talk. I mean, she's just all over the place. I just watched her 2 days ago, and she's confident, and she's telling her story, and she's got her own YouTube channel. She's got millions of people watching her, and here she was using the story. Her negative is now her positive. She took the thing that everybody would have been embarrassed about and hidden in her closet and cried for weeks. I'm voted the ugliest person in the world, and taken it and turned it into huge income, huge following. People love her. And she's taken that thing. And so it's even the possibilities, you know, some people say, well, I'm not ugly enough to be the ugliest person in the world. Or, you know, that guy that preaches and he has no arms and no legs. You know, I'm not disabled enough to get that kind of attention. Some people actually use the story, well, I can't because I'm not ugly enough. Right? I can't because I have all my limbs. Which is just that belief system. Like, well, you know, I don't have enough of a negative to turn it into a positive. You know, that's a pretty sad story. So whatever you're telling yourself, whatever you think someone's saying about you, use it to your advantage. Try and figure out a way. Well, I'm young and they don't believe me. Well, take the young route. Oh, I'm too old. I have a friend, her name's Estelle. She's 80 years old, and she came to me and says, you know, people don't listen to me. I'm 80 years old. I said, watch. Let's fix that. And so we did a testimonial of her, and I helped her get her first customers, and she got like 400 people just rushed into her downline in just a couple weeks. And I started to tell her story, and I started asking her questions, and we started doing some live interviews, and she's my #1 testimonial. I love to tell her story, how an 80-year-old can do this. If she can do it, so can you. And so she started to see a story from herself that other people were seeing. Instead of seeing, I'm 80 years old, no one's going to listen to me. I'm 80 years old, everybody's listening to me. It was a completely different picture. So take your negatives, turn them into positives, figure out how to do that. There is somebody like you that is using the excuse that you're using to saying, well, I can't because. I can't because I have kids at home. I can't because my husband won't let me. I can't because I don't have the education. I can't because I don't speak real well.